So a New York appeals court has thrown out the $527 million fine over the whole real estate fraud kerfuffle brought about by New York Attorney General Letitia James. And I know she's somewhere crying her eyes out as we speak, but let's talk about it. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about a New York appeals court throwing out the very excessive, ridiculously excessive $527 million fine against President Trump over the whole real estate fraud kerfuffle. Now, this does not exonerate him of that particular judgment against him. What it does is say that the fine is excessive. First, they said, okay, we're going to fine you $360 million for overvaluing your own home. I'll talk about that a little bit later. You know, your properties, your house, you overvalue that. So we're going to fine you for that. And we're going to add on interest and fees and whatnot for a grand total of $527 million. This is ridiculous. It's excessive. And that's what the appeals court said. Now, Letitia James, the Attorney General of New York, can appeal this to a higher court to try and make the original fine stick or to get a higher fine. But I'm not quite sure she'll do that because she has her own issues. You see the article right here. New York Attorney General Letitia James accused of possible mortgage fraud. Now, this came about a while ago, but it's still ongoing. It is not ended. Now, right when I saw the story, I'm like, okay, she probably is doing something wrong because, listen, the house she claimed was a primary residence is in Norfolk, Virginia. That's my neck of the woods. That's where I'm from. I'm from that area. I know the neighborhoods very well. And I saw where her alleged house was, and it's right there like in Shoot Park. I'm like, nah, like you don't live out there. You're the Attorney General of New York and you living in kind of a sketchy hood area. I think not. And also allegedly, she put her father down as her husband on some paperwork. So you got your own problems, Letitia James. I don't think trying to appeal this would really be in your best interest. All it's going to do is shine a light on your own problems, in my humble opinion. And you see the article right here. You see the judgment, the fine has been thrown out. The judgment's there, but the fine is not there as of right now. Let's get to a video straight from MS-13 DNC, which will be known as MS Now in the future. Different story. I will link to this video and the articles in the description. If you're on IG, Facebook, etc., visit a link in the bio. Go to the corresponding article on the website. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
We're starting with the breaking news we ended last hour with. A New York appeals court has thrown out a massive civil fraud penalty against President Trump, a total that exceeded $500 million. They're calling that penalty excessive. Joining us now, NBC News legal Avalos and NBC News legal affairs reporter Gary Grumbach. Danny, break down this ruling for us.
Well, it's a lengthy ruling, and all the judges disagreed on their analysis, but they agreed on one final decision, which was that this judgment against Trump was a fine within the Eighth Amendment prohibition on cruel and unusual punishment and excessive fines. And in addition, it was punitive and it was excessive. That's really the conclusion. They concluded that because this was a punitive measure because there weren't any victims who were compensated. It was just a judgment against the company and against Trump. So the court here concluded with a lot of disagreement among them, but did conclude that this was an excessive fine within the meaning of the Constitution's Eighth Amendment.
Danny, when you say that this was a lengthy ruling, we're talking to the tune of more than 300 pages. So we know that folks are going
300 pages, really? For real? I mean, come on. The witch hunt against President Trump has been absurd. I don't care if you are Democrat, Republican, you're politically agnostic, you don't follow the news. You have to admit this has been really crazy.
Through it still. But Gary, give us a refresher of this case. Viewers are seeing on the screen from the time of the trial. How did we get here?
So you'll remember that Donald Trump was accused of kind of plussing up how much money he actually was worth and how much money the things he owned were actually worth. He tripled the size of his penthouse in documents to some of these financial lenders and brokers. You just can't do that. Yeah. And he was given a $300 million fine that has been plussed to $500 million because of interest. And that was 11 months ago now. And so this is a very significant win for Donald Trump. And it's also for his sons, because it was paused for his sons as well. So the entire Trump family is impacted by this. But I do want to get to a point that Danny was talking about, how everyone sort of had different opinions when they released this opinion. The appeals court said, one of them said, penalties are supposed to stop people from doing things. They're concerned these individuals will reoffend, and it's getting rid of the penalty. Perhaps not the best idea here.
And for viewers, I think it's important for us to remind them there were certain lawsuits that were against the Trump organization. This is one of the suits that falls in that category. And interestingly, Danny, it was brought by the Attorney General of New York, Tish James. And right now, you've sort of got this subplot happening where the Trump Department of Justice now has subpoenaed Tish James for basically the records related to this lawsuit. One of the promises that they made on the campaign trail was, okay, investigate the investigators. This is certainly an example of that. Abby Lowell, Tish James's attorney, said that this is blatant political retribution. But talk about that bookend here that is new now that the administration is Trump's again.
Let's talk about that. If this is just a political attack, retaliation, retribution, if it's that, then what has been happening to Trump over the past, I don't know how many years, not just 2024, 2020. I'm talking about going all the way back like 2015, Russia. It's been a consistent effort to try and delegitimize Trump for the past 10 years. So this is a prime example of pot calling the kettle black.
There's no question this decision by the appellate division will embolden Trump and maybe the DOJ, but it's not really a true exoneration. What the court concluded, although the judges were somewhat fractured, very fractured, was that the defendants were liable. It's just that the punishment itself was excessive. Now, this may be a distinction without a difference to Trump's supporters, but it is an important point to be made. At least spiritually, Trump probably feels vindicated, because certainly in all of our minds, I mean, being found liable, but having the actual penalty removed feels like a win. But the court did conclude that the liability determination was proper and that the attorney general had the authority to bring this cause of action under the statute.
I mean, that's what I said from the beginning. Like, the judgment is still there. They're not trying to say that he didn't do, although I think that the whole thing was ridiculous. All they're saying is that the penalty was excessive, which of course it was. It was punitive, meaning it was just meant to punish in lieu of trying to get him locked up. This is clearly an attack on President Trump. You could say it's the organization, not Trump himself, but let's just be all the way serious. If not for Trump's name being attached to it, then it wouldn't even be in court, because I'm going to just stop that right there. And again, this is going to be MS-13 DNC, aka MSNBC, soon to be known as MSNOW, to get away from that MSNBC toxic brand. But look, everyone in real estate does this. How are you going to say that I cannot say my properties are worth whatever I want to say they're worth? That's just my opinion. I think my house is worth this. I think my property over there is worth this. I think my B&B is worth this. That's just my opinion. It's up to the banks, those who are going to lend me money, to agree or disagree. They'll do their research, their due diligence. They'll figure out if what I'm saying is correct or not. Furthermore, it's Donald Trump. It doesn't matter if he overvalued the property, undervalued the property, and who's to say what that is? That's a matter of opinion. That's a matter of opinion. But regardless of what, I'm still going to get the money because I'm President Trump. And the money that he got from these deals, he paid it all back. Of course he is, because he is a billionaire, been around for a very long time, has a reputation of following through and doing the right thing. So the bank was going to give him the money regardless. This was just an attack on Trump, the same as all the other things. The whole Fonnie Willis kerfuffle in Atlanta, which was a completely that was the biggest circus I've ever seen in my whole life. All of these cases against Trump have fallen since he became the president, because the objective was to keep him out of the Oval Office. Guess what? Didn't work. He's here. Now you got to deal with it. And I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your opinion about the penalty against President Trump being thrown out in this civil real estate fraud case? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. How you feel about Letitia James? Is she going to go to the penitentiary, Big Rocks, Little Rocks? Will there be a penalty against her for her alleged real estate fraud, talking about this house in Shute Park out Norfolk, right across from Huntersville. And man, she's telling us that that is her primary residence. Okay. Will there be anything happens to her? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. This was bogus from the beginning, and everybody can see it. It doesn't matter if you are Democrat, Republican, whatever. Everyone can see what this was. It was an attack on the president to try and bankrupt him, keep him out of the Oval Office, and or discourage him from continuing to fight for the American people. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.